Hi, and welcome to Reality Check. Is the United States leaning more towards a totalitarian government? You may ask, why would I ask a question like that? Well, first, let's look into what exactly is totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a form of government that attempts to assert total control over the lives of its citizens. It is characterized by a strong central rule that attempts to control and direct all aspects of individual life through coercion and repression. It does not permit individual freedom. Traditional social institutions and organizations are discouraged and suppressed, making people more willing to be merged into a single unified movement. Totalitarianism states typically pursue special goal and exclusion of all others, with all resources directed towards its attainment regardless of cost. Okay, so basically what we're talking about is a totalitarian just controls all aspects of your life. You know, what you think, what you believe, who you can love, what religion that you can worship, what school you go to, everything. It controls you. It controls your life and you. And it's a dictatorship. Where an authoritarian is also a dictatorship, and he could care less what you believe or who you worship as long as you follow his rules. So here I found some list of the differences between dictatorship and totalitarianship, or authoritarianship and totalitarianship, showing that there are differences even though there are similarities along with it. So why would I say that our country is heading towards a totalitarian? I'm glad you asked. Our country was created to be a republic democracy, meaning that our forefathers developed a system in which we, the people, would choose a group of people to write the laws that we, the people, want in order to balance power. And the system had been made up of three different branches of the government: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch is Congress, made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate. They write the laws and present them to the president to be signed or vetoed. The executive branch, the president being the head, and then the vice president, and the president assigns people to run the different areas of the executive branch. The president also signs or vetoes laws presented to him from Congress. The judicial branch has three courts, with the Supreme Court being the highest of the three, and they interpret the law. Lately, the executive branch seems to have run amok. The head of the executive branch deciding that he doesn't need to listen or work with the other two branches. If he is allowed to get away with this, the balance of power along with the Constitution becomes null and void. And this is when we start leading towards a dictatorship. And I would even go as far as to say a totalitarian. So why would I go as far as to say that this country is headed towards a totalitarian? Let's face it, Trump would be satisfied with a dictatorship or an authoritarian government. For as long as he can just run the country, tell everybody what to do, as long as he can stay out of prison, as long as he can build golf courses on foreign land, or rename the Gulf of Mexico. But that's not enough, and I'm going to tell you why. The Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank that has written a mandate for Trump to follow called Project 2025. Project 2025 is actually a continuation of a mandate that started around 50 years ago. Some of it already has been implemented by President Reagan. Since then, it has grown to over a 900-page mandate. They take a family-first approach and believe the country should be run by conservative Christians while plotting to eliminate the liberal agenda. Trump has created a religious-based executive order supposedly protecting Christians from hate groups and free speech for Christians, which Christians always had. This order blurs the boundary between the government and the church, making it easier for the Heritage Foundation to take control over the government. The Heritage Foundation believes, as a family-first approach, one man, one woman get married and have children. Trump, influenced by the Heritage Foundation, first aligned the Supreme Court with the conservative judges to push this agenda. This helped to overturn Roe v. Wade. One thing I do want to make clear is I want to emphasize the Heritage Foundation, because even though it is a conservative group, not all conservatives are for the Heritage Foundation agenda. In fact, the Heritage Foundation has even criticized them for this. The Heritage Foundation does not believe that the LGBTQ community deserve the same rights that they have. In fact, believes that they have a mental illness and that transgender is pornography, therefore should be outlawed. They believe supporters of the trans community should be classified as registered sex offenders. Trump has already written 2 anti-trans executive orders, one under the guise of protecting women, claiming that there's only 2 genders, and the under the guise of protecting the military. With these executive orders, he not only manages to ban transgenders, not just from the bathrooms and sports, but also from the military, claiming that they have a mental illness. Heaven forbid if you are an LGBTQ and homeless, as Trump's executive order under the guise of ending crime will have you put away in a mental institution without a choice in the matter. And there you will stay indefinitely while our tax dollars pay for it. Of course, the Heritage Foundation also has their nose in immigration laws. So of course, Trump has placed executive orders on immigration. I know I don't have to tell you about how Trump is using ICE to illegally arrest not just illegal immigrants, but the immigrants that are here legally, and the American citizens. Citizens that just happen to have brown skin. Trump's talked about ending the birthright citizenship, which is very unconstitutional and also fits in with the Heritage Foundation plans. And he's gone as far as to reverse immigration laws that made immigrants that were here legally now illegal. Is this a dictatorship? Oh yeah. Is it authoritarian? Oh yeah. Given that Trump has gone as far as to ignore 2 branches of the government, saying he doesn't need Congress or the courts, and he also went against court orders to bring the legal immigrants that he had deported illegally back. But is this a totalitarian government? Considering that the Heritage Foundation is pushing to make this a Christian nationalist country, and Trump is actually doing what he can to follow through with that, makes it an authoritarian government. When they go as far as to try to eliminate the liberal agenda, completely eliminate it, and when they go as far as to declare that the transgenders or transgenderism is pornography, and go as far as to state that if you support transgenderism in any way, that you should be registered sex offender. This crosses the line between authoritarian and totalitarian. Simply because you can no longer be what they deem unacceptable or teach acceptance of what they believe is unacceptable without punishment from the law. Trump has made ICE his personal Gestapo, and he's declared war on the United States, claiming that if you are anti-fascist, you're a terrorist. I really want you to understand what this means, okay? If you are against oppressing and suppressing your country, if you're against a dictatorship, according to Trump, you're a terrorist. Think about that for a moment. Trump has already threatened and attempted to place National Guard into Democratic cities that already said that it's not necessary under the guise of controlling crime. He wants to use our military against the people of the United States of America. Could you imagine what the room full of generals who vowed to protect us thought when Trump made that announcement? Trump has attempted to take over the media with money and lawsuits, telling them what they can and cannot say or report or who to fire, denying people a right to say anything negative about him regardless of the truth behind it. We are not a totalitarian country yet, but we are headed that way. However, it has more and more become a dictatorship. The only thing stopping Trump is us, the people of the United States, that stand up against this type of tyranny. There may have been many mega-minded Republicans or just frightened Republicans that have bowed down and kissed the ring of Trump, which allowed him to become unconstitutionally a president again. But there are still many Republicans and conservatives, along with liberals and Democrats and independents like me, who refuse to hand this country over to a totalitarian regime. But first, we need to understand that Trump, although klutzy and clangy and loud and obnoxious, really isn't the problem here. He's just a distraction. He's the symptom, but he's not the problem. Getting rid of Trump alone, rather you want to do it through impeachment and removal or not voting him again, although he's trying to unconstitutionally go for a third term, isn't going to solve the problem. Vance will only take over. And if not Vance, then it'll be the next conservative that the Heritage Foundation owns. So we must find a way to eliminate any organization that is trying to take over this country. We must also find a way to work together, not divided by parties, but united as a country of people who love this country and are willing to work with each other's differences. And for the first time, we are already on a global human rights watch list over the declining civil liberties. And if we don't stop this now, it will soon be too late. So the question is, can we come together in unity? Or have we gone too far from it? Thank you for watching.